I am not ignorant of the American world, to say the least. I know America. I have lived in America. I have lived in New York. I have served the people here. There is nothing new for me. The only thing new in me is my new eye of looking at the people. Those eyes are the eyes of a person who feels that God and the people have called him to be a father for all.
Well, I am sure that His Holiness's visit will bring a great enthusiasm not only to the Armenian Americans living in this wonderful land of freedom, but also to the friends of Armenians in America.
How beautiful, how great is the coincidence. I come as the first Catholicos from a free, independent Armenia. And to welcome the young generation here is indeed most heartwarming, encouraging, and uplifting. Astvatchezosne, I would like to thank all the people present who took the pain to come in spite of all the disturbances of the weather, the blizzard of which I heard when I left Armenia. The blizzard can disturb only the weather, but not the hearts, not the love, not that oneness in which we welcome one another, Catholicos and people.
I come, my dear brothers and sisters, from a country, Armenia, where I was not born. I was born outside Armenia. But as I said in my enthronement sermon, although I was not born in Armenia, yet in all my life I felt that Armenia was born in me through this church. So I have come today as my first pastoral visit outside Armenia to this country where we have the largest Armenian community in the diaspora, to announce to you that days of bright future are waiting for us. Are we ready for them? I feel it that God is calling us. Are we ready to respond?
We were a nation, but we did not have a physiognomy. That nation with physiognomy came to us with the proclamation of the free and independent Republic of Armenia. And when I pass now by the United Nations building, I can identify myself. And I can tell my other human friends, here am I, with my face, in harmony with the family of nations. And that is what we were aspiring for as a nation.
Christ is like a single body which has many parts. It is still one body, even though it is made up of different parts. I was asking myself the question, what part of the body are you, the children? And I thought and thought over and over again, I discovered something. You are neither the hands nor the head. You are the smile. You are the face shining towards the future and telling the world that here we are, the children of Armenia, the children of the Armenian Church, who look to the future and not only to the past. Do you get me? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because I am not born in this country, I don't know your English language, I know some of it, and therefore if I make mistakes in English, please forgive me. Huh? Christ was born in Bethlehem. Our nation was born as a Christian nation in Etchmiadzin. Etchmiadzin for us is the Armenian Bethlehem, where we were born in our Christian faith. Now I come from that holiest manger where our nation was born as a Christian nation. Children of our Armenian nation in America, I have come to you to tell you that we all have to be inspired by the light of the star of Saint Gregory the Illuminator, which is the star that reflects upon us the star of Bethlehem. You are not a generation to be consoled by the past. You are a generation to become builders of the future. Abrit, Hazar Abriti Rehane. The young person, in my own understanding, is a person of action, which comes forth from a philosophy of life which is committedness. Commitment is a divine word. It's not part of human experience. God committed himself by becoming man. He did not speak the truth in terms of intellectual, verbal expression of certain truths. God assumed human nature. God is a God of engagement according to Christian theology. It's not the God in the seventh heaven. Remote, away, far, far away from us. Because what makes the content of life is not what you think, is what you do.
If we could possibly have your views, knowing your views in the past about the unification of the churches, could we possibly have on your views right now about the unification of the churches? We are waiting for it for a long, long time. We hope that it will come through.
I understand the urgency
of the question. It's not a question intellectually put forward to me. It has been existential part of my life. First of all, we have to clarify what we are thinking when we speak about unity. If you speak about the unity of the church, that is not, in my understanding, the correct definition of what we are trying to do. Because we are already one church, as we have been, and we cannot but be one church. Because the notion of church, for you, in putting that question in that form, is an administrative side of the church. And therefore, I prefer to say the question of diocesan unity, not church unity. Let us be historically analytical and recognize that much has been done towards the process of rapprochement. We are not today feeling the same way towards each other as our fathers used to feel towards one another. The committee discussions, certain cooperative actions have immensely contributed. And more important is the fact that those factors who gave rise to the split have lost their acuteness or even their significance. And therefore, people born and brought up in this country are asking the question, are we victims of history or makers of history? And that's the question you young people have to address.
I feel that the youth, not only the young children this morning, but as well as our age, the young adults, really learned a lot from him. We can relate to him. He speaks to us, not above us. As intelligent as he is, we just felt a connection with him. He's a person that's going to bring us together. He's the one that gives us hope, and we're glad to be a part of this. Thank you.
Almighty God, omnipotent God, why did he choose men to assist him, to carry on his mission? He could do everything by his divine power. And there is one saying which has been so profoundly present in me when I have read that. Man cannot do anything without God. God will not do anything without man. He can, but he not will. He will not will because he wants the participation of the human persons, men and women, in the building up of that great gift which is life to us. With these introductory remarks about the importance of the human participation in God's mission towards humanity, I would like this morning to greet this institution, St. Nerses Seminary, as the haven of formation of such people who will assist God in carrying on his work for our Armenian people.
It has never happened in the past that a Behapar would take his time and come and consecrate the refurbishing of a seminary. Of course, the seminary is very, very prominent place in his mind. He believes in education, and the message he gave to the young clergy students is that education is not given to you, but you take the education. And we're grateful to him as the fundraising chairman of St. Nerses Seminary. We are grateful to His Holiness Karekin I to take his time and come and do the opening consecration of this great institution.
Love not as a word on our lips. Love not as a feeling only, temporary and changeable. Love not only a kind of camouflage for interest or for pleasure. Love is the self-giving, the opening up of the human person to the others, to the world, to humanity, to the nation, to God. God gave us the love so that we can respond to Him in love, with love. That is the link of communion between God and human beings. In every religion you have the idea, the notion of love. But only in our Christianity we have the cross, the tangible incarnation of love. I have come to you as the voice of a free and independent country of Armenia. Today we are called to change, and the change should be the rejuvenation, the regeneration, and I'm going to use the most common ecumenical term, the renewal of our church. Without such renewal, without such re-energizing of the Christian preaching, organizing Christian community life, this freedom will have no meaning. We are free to accomplish something. And therefore, we have to be more and more responsive to the call of God, to the call of the nation, for joining our hands together and giving concrete, tangible, practical expression of our unity. This is a moment of pan-Armenian self-recognition of our identity and dignity. If we know our identity, we cannot separate that identity from dignity, because that identity has been bought by the blood of our martyrs, by the prayer of our saints, by the ink of our writers, by the paintings of our artists, by the stones of our architects. All that heritage is now in our hands. Whether warm or cold, that is my country. Whether bright or dark, that is my country. Whether healthy or sick, that is my country. Whether wealthy or poor, that is my country. Whether in peace or in war, that is my country. Whether old yet always new, that is my country. Whether wind still waters and in green pasture, whether in pain or in desolation, that is my country, and that is my faith. I'm sharing it with the meal, with the bread of this evening with you. How can you relate the Christian faith to the cultural expression of the nation or of the group or of the community or even of the individual. Christian message, Christian idea is not an idea in the air. It's not something that you think about. The Christian faith is Christian way of life. Christ did not say, there is the truth, here is the truth. He said, I am the truth. I am the way. I am life. The truth is life, not theory. If you speak to me about Christianity in a different context, with different norms of thinking that don't have any relation with my cultural background or with my cultural context of life, then that preaching will not reach my heart. But if you speak to me of the Christian faith in norms, in forms, in thoughts, and in ways of expression that have a communality with my culture, then that faith becomes meaningful to me and appealing to me, and therefore I am responsive to it. That is what the church has to do today, as it has done in the past. Turn any stone in Armenia, you will find the church beneath. We are in front of a great responsibility to respond to God. I strongly believe that history is in the hands of God. You may not believe if you want not to believe. But you have to believe in something, that history is above the control of human beings. Etchmiadzin is not a museum. Etchmiadzin is not stone. Yes, but I said it's not only the reminder of the past. It is called today to renew the Christian message of the gospel. 70 years of a stagnant situation. The church was reduced to an institution to which people sometimes came secretly, sometimes hesitantly, to lit a candle, to make a prayer, and without being noticed, to drift away. It was an institution to maintain something from history and to show to the world that as if there was religion in the Soviet Union. The faith was there in the hearts. They closed the churches. They converted the churches into barns that I have seen with my own eyes. They converted the churches into cinemas. Yes, they could not close the door of the heart to the Christian faith. I have seen that faith within the hearts of the people, but there was no way of expressing it. Now that possibility has come to us. Please close your eyes to the world and open your eyes to God. Aren't we grateful to Him that after all these tribulations and trials, today by the end of the century, it's a glorious page that is being opened to us. The last decade of the 20th century is a decade of life and hope and faith and freedom. The century was opened with love ending with life.
I'm anxious to see how long it will be before he and Pope John Paul II have a chance to get together. I think that will be a great moment of truth for us too, because John Paul II impresses me the same way as this man did. You can see why they're in the positions they are. Such native talent and God-given gifts, but such a capacity to exude holiness and the sincerity of their work for God. He mentioned one place in his remarks that he has sacrificed his whole life for the Armenian people, for the country, and for God. And you just have no doubt in talking to him and listening to him that certainly is his role.
Catholicos struck me as a very tender-hearted man. He touched my heart. Very warm-spirited, very gentle.
That independence and that freedom and that great opportunity now presented to our Mother See of Expiation is not an honor to us, is not a glory to us. It may turn into an honor and into glory if we face it with the sense of duty, responsibility, engagement, and solidarity.
This church was the first Armenian church here. Yeah. And then when it was consecrated on the 18th of June, 1891. So this is, tomorrow is the 105th anniversary of its consecration. Okay. Well, may God bless you.
Thank you. There was a day when among the crowd there were little children who wanted to approach Jesus and to touch his garment. But the disciples were preventing them from approaching Jesus. And Jesus turned to his apostles and said, "Leave them to approach me. Let them come. Because if you cannot be like the children, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. And if anyone becomes a cause of scandal for one child, let a huge stone be hung on his neck and be thrown in the sea." That was the highest value, esteem that our Lord Jesus Christ gave to the children.
How did you decide to start the Armenian Church? Is it very hard?
It is never hard when you do it with love.
How can we help your efforts to create new Sunday schools in Armenia?
We need such people like yourselves who have an experience to come and not to tell us what to do, but to work with us so that we can work together, and that togetherness will encourage the local people to increase their efforts for establishing and promoting Sunday schools in Armenia.
We danced and we sang for him, and he was like really nice to us, and he gave us these necklaces as a present, these gold crosses. I want to.
expression in Latin of the faith and the moral principles that are embodied in the gospel of Christ.
It's such an exhilarating visit in so many ways. In just the brief moments that I've had to say hello and have a discussion, I have felt how dynamic as well as down to earth His Holiness is.
You see a broad diversity of clergy and of political leadership here, Your Holiness, to honor you, to recognize the commitments that you have made in your lifetime and that the Armenian community has made in this state and in this country. I am so proud to represent the Armenian community. As I was speaking with you, I don't know of any other ethnic group that blends more its ties to its nation of origin and its commitment to the culture, the broader culture of the United States.
This church has continued all along the 17 centuries by transmitting from one generation to another a spirit that transcends time and space. And that is what I feel now being called to this heaviest, although highest but heaviest responsibility in my church and in my nation. I feel there that I have to justify all my predecessors, and I have not to put to shame those who will follow me.
I ask you the question, what do you want Echmiadzin to be? Don't ask me what I want it to be. Ask yourselves, how do you visualize that center coming down for 17 centuries? If you want it to be a reminder of the past, that is something. If you want it to be a movement in your life, that is another thing. And I would like to see it in both ways, both as a reminder of the past, as a source of inspiration, and also a force of engagement for newness, renewal, regeneration, reinvigoration of our church in our new motherland and in whole of the diaspora. It is there that I appeal to all our people. Today, when the clouds are clearing, let us make the light emerge from Holy Echmiadzin, and without any cloud, without any iron curtain, spread its rays around the world.
He talked about duty and responsibility, and our duty is to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I am truly grateful that he came to this country to deliver this type of a message. It has given me that encouragement, that energy to bring the same message to my humble flock in my home parish. I thank God that we have been given this man as our Catholicos. He carries himself with such distinction. He carries himself as the leader of the Armenian nation, the Armenian church. He is a good person who is humble in spirit, but yet great in stature because of that humility. That sense of Christian servitude really comes forth. And in it coming forth, it gives him that stature for us to look up to.
The spiritual values are being jeopardized today, and the church has to stand firm, even at the cost of certain people leaving it. The church has to serve the people in the name of God, by the principles of God, and not adapt itself to all kinds of changes, which today is a change, tomorrow loses its value. But the church is like the oak garden. It takes its energy from its roots. therefore, I appeal to you to make a clear distinction between what the church is and what the world is. The church is not of the world, but the church is in the world to serve the world and not to be the victim of the worldliness of the world. Today, I feel one thing with my old fibers of existence. Our nation and our church needs integrity, unity, cooperation, and unanimous stand before the world and before our coming generation. That is what I feel. The call for unity, the call for solidarity, the call for collaboration, the call for learning how to think as a state and not as pieces of nation and segments and fragments of churches. And the creation of the independent Republic of Armenia and the emancipation of Holy Echmiadzin from any foreign influence. These are God-given opportunities. Let us not miss the train. Here you are, before that sacred task of making your present-day life as a testimony to the coming generations, by which the generations will bless your memory and not curse our mistakes. We are weary of words. The world is weary of words, rhetorics. This is the moment of action. Oborkache, inchkaspas. Our church follows the teaching of Jesus. Jesus has not permitted divorce because the matrimonial union is sacred, blessed by God, and inseparable. Except, as he says, in the case of adultery, in the case of unfaithfulness, and in the case when that union does not serve its proper purpose. And there are rules for that. We don't completely deny the right for divorce, but only very rarely on certain cases where we find the justification in the teaching of the Bible, in the teaching of the gospel. That is how our church approaches such social issues, without dictating, without dogmatizing, yet leading the people to act freely, but with a conscience well built, Christianly. The secular press of America, they are giving so much prominence to nonsense. I read once that one artist was married for 8 or 9 times. So what? Is that something to be preached about? Is that a model of life? What is becoming in this country? I don't know. Everything is being openly discussed. There is nothing that could be seriously thought about, and there is no question now what is right, what is wrong. Everything is right and everything is wrong. That is really a great danger. That is what I call extreme secularism. And that can, thanks be to God, 100 times, that the real American people, the real core that makes the American nation's life is not to be judged or directed by that kind of extremist movements.
Otherwise, you will lose much of the greatness of what America stands for, nation under God. That is your glory.
The youth is that age which cannot confine itself and be content with itself by remembering the past or by being consoled by the past. But the youth is that generation which has a drive in it for greater, higher realizations, achievements to justify its existence. We are very much proud of our past, but that pride is empty pride if we don't bring new water in what we inherit from our fathers. And that newness is what makes the old not become obsolete, not become meaningless, but that tradition passing from generation to generation, taking new forms and new dimensions and new achievements, making the past become richer, and that is how we preserve the nation, by creative action and not by passive action.
Our parish is interested in the application of English in the Divine Liturgy, excepting, of course, the Psalms. Will you encourage the church, like other churches such as the Roman Catholic Church, to conduct their services in the vernacular, the language of the local people? Thank you.
Understanding, in my opinion, means participating in the act of worship. Participating. Sharing the whole spiritual meaning of what is being said. The spiritual uplifting. There are parts for the education of the person, such as the reading from the scriptures and the sermon. These have to be, I think, in the vernacular language. There is no objection to that. But if we touch the main core of the liturgy, which is not so much of intellectual intercourse between the priest and the faithful, I don't think we should be touching that now. Because what may happen if we touch it? If we touch it, the unity of our church will be very much threatened. I give you one example. If you say that whole liturgy in English here, and if you say that whole liturgy in French in France, and if you say that liturgy in Portuguese in Brazil, and you say that liturgy in Spanish in Argentina, and in Arabic in the Arab countries, and in Farsi in Iran, what will become our church? That is a bond of unity, and when we have the translation provided, the person can take the book and can even recite, participate.
As the shepherd of all Armenians, it is he who will lead us into the 21st century. And we believe, or I believe, that the Divine Spirit will bring down upon him the message that needs to be given to all of the faithful, whether it be on issues of contemporary social issues or the teachings of the church in other manners, or just in secular dealings. He is our Holy Father, and we do look to him for our inspiration and guidance.
Psalmist has said, the days of man are like grass. It comes up, the wind blows, it withers, and even you cannot know whether it has existed. Is that what we are created for? But the psalmist does never say that man is like grass, the days of man. For us, Armenian Christians, life
began to have acquired a new sense from that day when our King and our patron saint, Gregory the Illuminator and Tridatis III, proclaimed Christianity as our own national religion. That is the day when our history changed its course, when life in Armenia became impregnated by the principles of the Christian faith. And from that date on, we recognize as our father the Holy Gospel and the Church Universal as our mother. All along these centuries, our country went through upheavals. There were times of desolation, there was times of invasion, there were times of destruction, there were times of massacres, there was time of genocide, but all followed by periods of recovery, renewal, resurrection, renaissance. And if anyone asks me to characterize the Armenian history in one sentence, I would say it is a play between light and darkness, light finally being the conqueror, the victorious.
His Holiness Catholicos Karekin I, that he belongs not only to Armenia, he belongs to the whole region.
He is the same, I think, probably young man, young boy that was born in Kesab as he is today as the Pontiff.
I kind of thought that he would be a person where all he would be is religion, but actually it's not. He's just a warm-hearted, nice guy.
These past 12 days have been indeed very invigorating, naturally in its physical sense as well as spiritual sense, for all those Armenian Americans and also non-Armenians, Americans, who had the opportunity to meet with His Holiness Karekin I, the Catholicos of all Armenians. This is the last evening before His Holiness departs from our diocese in order to go to the Canadian diocese, but he will be coming back to our diocese, will be celebrating Divine Liturgy in Florida before his departure to the Republic of Armenia. But of course, we are waiting for his return to come back to the United States in order to keep fresh the spirit which he created among all those who had the opportunity to hear him, to be in his presence.
I confess in all humility and in all honesty that I am still in the process of learning, not teaching. And while in the last 2 weeks being in America, I learned many, many new things, and today I am addressing you as sisters and brothers, not brothers and sisters. It's a sad moment in the sense that we are going to leave one another, but it is a happy moment that as we live, we are more enriched mutually than when we first met. Today, we have a country which has become an independent state. And we have the diaspora. And the diaspora is not going to be disappearing. diaspora is very, very important for our nation. And today that diaspora is there, more vibrant, more creative, and asserting itself on the American scene much more forcefully than our fathers did. My and your father's generation could not do what we can do today, and that is quite normal, because they didn't want us to be only a repetition of them, but a promotion of them. That is the dream of our fathers. Today, I believe that with this creation of Armenian independent state, we have to see that the line of separation between Armenia and diaspora gradually diminishes, and I hope also one day disappears. We have different manners of life, different ways of action, different ways of relationships, and all that has to be considered as diversity in unity. Not uniformity, but diversity, which is a source of enrichment if we can maintain unity, if we can maintain the harmony. And what is the beauty? Tell me. The beauty is the harmony of sounds in music, the harmony of lines and colors in painting, the harmony of living together in the greatest art, in the art of all arts, life.
the echo of the voice that comes from Saint Gregory, the Illuminate. We don't have two Saint Gregory Illuminate. And therefore, let us come closer and closer to one another, to dispel all the misunderstandings that have been piled upon us in the past decades, which have been perhaps unavoidable because of the situation of the world. Today the world is changed. Our land, our country is changing. Let us keep pace with that holy change. From death to life, from cross to resurrection. May thy name be praised forever and ever, Lord Jesus Christ, and may thy nation of the Armenian origin be worthy of the great gift that you bestowed upon her forever and ever. Amen.